Kia ora everyone from Māngere. This morning we have Dr Huhana Hickey, and I'll be asking her a few questions regarding support for disabled people during this time of the COVID-19 lockdown. Doctor, what is your role in advocating for people with disabilities?
Well, it's informal. I kind of fell into it as far as the COVID goes, in that people know that I advocate because I'm a lawyer. So my background has always been advocating for people's needs. And I'm a human rights lawyer, so I advocate for the rights of people. But for some reason, during the COVID, I've had an awful lot of disabled begging for help and desperate situations. And it's because they were given only 12 hours notice that suddenly their carers would stop coming, or that they would need PPE gear, which by then became impossible to get.
What's PPE gear for people that don't know?
Protective personal equipment. So that's the masks, the gowns, the overalls, the hats, all the things that protect you when doing cares. Yes. And for a lot of us, our caregivers might go to more than one client. And so that places a lot of people at risk. But the advocacy for me actually began when a mother rang me in absolute tears. She'd been in hospital with her daughter, who's nonverbal, severely disabled. And the head nurse came along and said, "You've got to go. If you don't leave now, we'll call security to kick you out." Now, what had happened was that a nurse had done some bloods with her daughter, but she was coughing over her daughter. She was unwell. And the mother stepped in and said, "Don't. My daughter's autoimmune. Please get a mask, get a gown, get gloves." And she refused.
Wow.
And so the mother then, they tried to retaliate by kicking her out of the hospital and saying they were following the rules. Well, there's an exception. If someone is disabled, if someone is dying, you're allowed one person with you. However, this was what the charge nurse tried to use. So my advocacy, my strength in my advocacy is that I've got networks. I went straight to the minister. I went straight to the director, and we dealt with it that way. And so that's how the advocacy began. Now I've been receiving emails, messages, phone calls. One today was around the deaf community. Can't access WINs because they can't ring them.
Right, of course.
And so for a lot of them, they're struggling because there's just no way of accessing WINs issues for the deaf community. And there's a lot of vulnerable deaf out there. So we've got sign language interpreters with no, again, PPE gear, actually interpreting in the prisons, in the courts, in the hospital, and at doctors. And they're not protected at all. But they're also going around visiting deaf people who are vulnerable. So they might have multiple disabilities, mental health issues, other issues. And she's come across several that are cold. They've got no food. They've got no blanket. They don't know what to do because they've got no access to technology. And so they're being left at home to languish, because one of the things that we requested they do with at the earthquakes, when that happened, because we discovered clients who'd been left without carers for a couple of days, were left in their beds, and other incidents that happened, is we told the national government at that time that they needed to have a plan in place for any emergency. Now, that was 9 years ago. What have they done since? And so that's why, I feel pretty angry, because I know that they set up a pandemic team 2 months ago, a disability pandemic team.
Okay.
But they didn't they didn't include me. I mean, I'm never included. That's fine. But they didn't actually include people that could mitigate the fallout for when the lockdown was going to happen, because I knew it was going to happen in January. When I first heard about things and I was in hospital, there were signs, things that the doctors were saying. So what they should have done to mitigate this is started preparing and planning people without panic, like prepare the PPEs, get the packs ready, get them ready to go, prepare what's going to happen when we go into lockdown. How are disabled people that need cares daily going to manage?
Yes.
Nobody thought about it, and that's the risk that we've had.
Do you think there are many disabled people that are being sort of left alone and
Yep.
neglected? Yep.
Quite a bit. I've been overwhelmed. I've had nights where I haven't slept. You've got some who have been left with just their children doing their cares. And that means a 12-year-old boy having to wipe his mum's bum, you know, do all the washing, do all the cleaning, everything else. Now,
Yeah.
I know our kids are beautiful kids because I raised a son as a disabled person, and they do more than the average child of an abled family. But they should not be forced into doing their cares for their mothers and their fathers if there's nobody else there to do it for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
It places them at risk. And that's why I have a real concern for South Auckland, for Middlemore Hospital, if it gets made the ground zero hospital. The reason I have an opposition to that is because we're on the main trunk line, 1. 2, we have the highest number in Auckland of the most deprived at-risk communities. We have the highest number of Māori, Pacific Islanders, disabled, in particular disabled Māori. We have the largest diabetes unit here. We will put our communities at risk, which is unacceptable because it is disparate in receiving its supports and funding. We should not be making Middlemore Hospital a code zero, ground zero.
Is there talk of that happening?
Yeah. Oh no, that is because the ADHB refused. So everyone dumps everything out south when they don't want it in their areas. And I'm saying, don't dump it on us. If you're going to make any hospital ground zero, make the super clinic. You can easily adapt. It's isolated. It's not on the main trunk route. You can easily adapt it. You can even add triage medical army tents out there. But you can't do that at Middlemore. It is not safe at Middlemore Hospital to do that. We need to keep that operational for our community, which has high health. And I had to go there on Monday for an emergency. And I'm telling you now, it's getting a good chance of cleaning it up, doing all of that. But it would not cope with ground zero status. It's not funded well enough. It's been funded for too long, you know?
Yeah. It's been neglected for a long time, hasn't it, Middlemore Hospital?
And we just dealt with the measles outbreak, which is finally settled. But the problem is people don't realise that South Auckland's quite a vulnerable community as a block.
Yeah.
It's not the rest of Auckland. There's pockets in Auckland, but South Auckland has a real vulnerable community at risk, that we have a lot of migrants, refugees, disabled, Pacific and Māori, and they are all at-risk people with high health needs, overcrowding, all of that. We want to mitigate the risk now and not regret what we do later.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest challenges facing our disabled community at this time?
Access to caregivers, access to shopping, priority, we're trying. Countdown's really done well by trying. But you've got so many others that could go to a supermarket and they've got all day. They could go and spend their hour there, but they're taking up priority slots online. For people like myself, we can't go out. I can't go out. It's too dangerous. My partner should not be going out because it makes it too dangerous for both myself and them. So it's shopping online, having the ability to get the food that you need. For a lot of our disabled, it's not the basics like bread and milk. It's actually specialised food. I have a lot of food allergies. There's others, so we need to get access to those things. We need access to hand sanitizers, to masks, to gloves. The only way we can be safe is if we've got access to the same equipment that can keep us safe.
Of course. So what support is available to those with disabilities at this time, and how do people access this?
Well, we're slowly getting information out. The Auckland Council for Auckland have actually got a team now available to help and assist. The Student Army is operating down in Christchurch. So there's pockets, and one of the good things that's come out of all of this, you've got some areas, not my street unfortunately, but you've got some areas, some streets that have created a neighbourhood support network. So they're supporting their seniors, they're supporting their disabled, others at risk, and doing the shopping for them, making it safer for them. And so that's really awesome. But then you've got the other side, which we've got a few on my street, who just ignore the whole warning and everything else and do what they want to do, have their parties. You know, there's no consistency. But there's a lot more online options now that's been opened up. We managed to get through the Outlet brand. We got a big box of veggies and fruit, and we're wrapped with it. We may be able to share that with one of our nieces who's got children. Once we've sorted out, we might cook them a meal out of it and do that. So, you know, and we'll work it so there's a no contact, you know, way of sharing that kai. We know that they're locked down, so they're safe. We also know that we're safe because we're locked down, so we can do that. I think it's about making sure that you're communicating with people, with whānau, with others at risk, and advocating on their behalf if they can't advocate for themselves.
Of course.
It's really important. If you want someone to be with Nana, they have to stay with Nana. But remembering too that young people are being as affected. I read this morning a 10-week baby died from COVID overseas. A 13-year-old boy died from COVID. Neither of them had pre-existing condition. So we need to not be complacent and realise. So for a lot of our disabled, to keep safe, we need the neighbourhood to do that. The resources that are coming up are starting to show up. Countdown Online, Whoosh is actually reopened. They've got some very good PPE gear there and other things that you can buy. You can even get toilet paper at quite an exorbitant price.
Okay.
If you didn't get it beforehand, you can. But, you know, and Trade Me's open for essential items only. Warehouse is now open. If people need, for some people, their children with certain disabilities need clothing because they destroy them. So, or things to do. So we've got some services are now open more online, so people can do that. If they're not online, then ring them and do it for them and make sure they get it to their address.
So basically all of us able-bodied people who have relatives or friends, or just, you know,
just go follow your rules and go out and do it for us so that we can open up priority shopping.
Good. So what can we do? So that was leads into my next question. So us able-bodied people, what are some things that we should do or shouldn't do that will be supportive?
I know an 80-odd-year-old guy collapsed in line, waiting in line last week.
Right.
You know, maybe be a little kinder. I mean, I know Jacinda always says be kind. She's right. You know, compassion goes a long way. You don't have to always say, I get sick of hearing the term be kind, because it's like, well, why? It should be a natural thing that we all do anyway, but it's not. So for people needing to realise that there's a need to have a little bit of courtesy. If an elderly person, a disabled person, an essential worker that you can recognise through their uniform turns up, let them go to the front of the line. For goodness sake, they're going to be quick. They're going to be as fast as they can be to get in and out, because they're the at-risk community. Let them through. You've got all day. They haven't. You know, what else are you going to do but go home and overeat and, you know, watch movies 10 times over? I mean, honestly, the impatience of some people is just incredible. But, you know, follow the rules and just give a bit of leeway. Make sure everybody's safe. And we're all in this together, you know. By keeping you safe, you keep the rest of you safe.
Yes,
it's
awesome.
Cool.
And is there anything else you want to say to the community and South Auckland about this issue?
You know, having kava parties is dumb. You know, it's dumb. Having kava parties, sharing your spit with things while you're drinking off your kava might sound like it's a great way to pass the time, but not when you're sharing it. You know, so no more kava parties until after, or at least get your kava and have it separately and do it by Zoom, or do it by Skype, or do it over the fence, whatever you want to do, but don't do it in a big group together. You're breaking the social isolation rules. Don't be dicks, really. You know, think about other people, think about each other. This is not the first time that we've had the tuberculosis outbreak years ago. And one of the other things, can you guys stop hoiking or spitting on the footpath? It's dirty, it spreads diseases, and it was actually a ban when tuberculosis was out. And it was a ban because it spread the disease. And the reason I ask you not to is if you're a wheelchair user or you've got children in a pram and you wheel over that hoik, that spit, the wheelchair user gets it on their hands when they've got a manual wheelchair. And if they touch their face, whatever, they get the disease. Babies, prams, any wheels, you know, become dangerous, even your footwear.
Yeah.
So can you stop it? Pop it in a tissue and throw it in the bin and be a good little boy. It's predominantly men. But, you know, just be good people and follow the rules, you know, and I guess that's what I want to say. Just, you know, for goodness sake, take it as an opportunity to get creative at home, to share a little bit of goodness out there, do videos of something funny, dance parties. We had a birthday party online the other night, on Monday night, for all the birthday people for that week. And everyone baked like cupcakes or cakes, you know, and we all wished happy birthday and did the candles out, you know, just get creative. Not the end of the world, but we will end up with a better, healthier world if we do it now.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
And if you want to get out of lockdown fast, follow the rules. You want to not get out of lockdown, just don't follow the rules.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good advice. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Huhana. And yeah, all the best.
Peace.
Catch you around. Yeah.
Catch you around. Stay safe. Stay well.
Cool.